Welcome to the shooting show. This week I play at being the Scottish Laird and take the Sporting Rifle superstars on their annual stag stalking jaunt.
Think working for Sporting Rifle magazine is all larking around and having a good time? For 51 weeks of the year you'd be wrong. We've taken the team up to the majestic Glen Etive estate and followed assistant publisher Ruth Burgess and top writer Nick Latus on breathtaking stag hunts.
The Scottish Highlands are a mecca for sportsmen. Salmon-filled rivers, mountain tops inhabited by the snow grouse known as the ptarmigan, plus the heather moorlands inhabited by the red grouse, and also the humble stag. Pursued across these hills since Victorian times, the sport has little changed. The traditions are the same, the excitement's the same. This week, we're looking at stalking in the Highlands.
It's the start of our Highland week and Ruth is after a stag. Guiding her on the hill, estate stalker Mark loads the magazine with suitable ammo, returns the rifle to its slip with a chamber unloaded, and they both head out the forest to the open hill. The weather isn't playing ball with a constant drizzle dampening spirits, but this is the west coast. It's pretty much par for the course. Mark carefully looks over each rise, spying for any sign of deer on the lower parts of the hills. They eventually come across a group of deer including a stag, but it's not a takeable animal. Having seen good numbers of deer on the opposite side of the glen, they cut their losses and change location. No sooner have Mark and Ruth navigated the forest than they bump into a stag. Unfortunately again, this isn't the right beast to take. Heading again to the hill, the weather has only got worse, but Mark soon spots a suitable stag. As the deer move quickly to the horizon, the hunters are caught out, having to find cover quickly in the open ground. The stag stands perfectly, but he is skylined. There is no safe shot. Eventually the beasts drop down where a safe shot can be taken.
Happy?
I'm glad
I don't think they were
got him.
I don't think they were gonna stand too long. I mean, if you missed them, we would have just carried on for another one, you know.
I'm glad it was a clean shot.
With a successful shot, they now have the task of getting the beast off the hill. After a quick age inspection and once over, Mark bleeds and grallochs the stag and drags it to a point he can reach with the ATV. With the stalk complete and the carcass bled out, Ruth tells us about the experience.
So Ruth, you secured a fine stag there.
Yes.
First one for this season, I believe.
Yes, it is. Actually, my second one ever.
Second one ever?
Yes.
Yeah, because you was here last year.
Yes, I got one on the flat ground here last year. And I really wanted to go up on the hill and get one, you know, in traditional style. So
yeah.
I was pleased about that.
For the proper stalking experience.
Yeah.
And you did get that?
Yes, I did. Yeah, we went up. It was a bit of a wishy-washy day in terms of the weather. You know, it was quite rainy, so quite muddy on the way up, and I had to be careful because I'd bust my ankle the week before. So wanted to make sure that you know, we took it a bit slowly, but you know, went over on my knees a few times in the mud. You know, but you gotta just get up and carry on, haven't you?
So Scotland, the weather here throws everything at you. Today you've had fog, rain, hail, and now glorious sunshine. But that's Scotland.
Yeah, absolutely. It did rain a lot going up for the stag, but you know, last year when I was here, we went up on the hill and we found snow. So I'm glad we didn't get that.
But to be up on the hill, you need the proper quality gear, and I see you're wearing Harkeela here.
Yeah, I invested in some nice Harkeela gear because you know it's keeps you dry and keeps you warm when you need it, really. So I definitely wanted to make sure I was fully kitted out.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the comparison for this year's stag to your first stag last year?
We came across the stag stood with a couple of hinds and decided he was the one to take. We had to wait for a little bit to start with, because he was not really in the right position. So we waited for quite a while for him to come off the skyline, as it were.
Yeah.
And
To get a safe shot.
Yeah, to get a safe shot. So he came down to feed a little bit, and we sort of peeked over the brow of a hill, really.
Yeah. Or the braes, they say in Scotland.
Yeah, apparently.
And the shot itself, we shot from a prone position?
Yes, we sort of crawled along a bit, and to make sure we were nice and steady, and we had to keep pretty low because we felt like they had seen us, so we kept low down and as still as possible for a while. Got the rifle ready, and well, at first he was broadside, so thought that was going to be perfect, but he could tell that something was going on and started walking towards us a little bit. So it was a neck shot for me.
And you pulled it off perfectly?
Yeah, apparently so. I was pleased about that, because one thing you want to do when you do it is make sure it's a good shot and a clean shot and that you get it right, really. So I was pleased that
Excellent.
worked.
And using a 270, it doesn't faze you, this calibre?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No. I've shot that estate rifle a couple of times at the target, and shot it last year for the stag on the flats, and no, it's absolutely fine.
Familiar tool then?
I wouldn't quite say that, but you never know.
Well, Ruth, well done on your stag.
Thank you very much.
Hope we'll see you next year.
Yeah.
Ruth isn't the only one out on the hill. Sporting Rifles Supremo Nick Latus is the next to get a chance at a stag.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Right in the middle.
Once Nick is sure his rifle is on zero, he takes to the hill with Mark and fellow stalker Gary Sharp. This is the Highlands at its best, with striking scenery and challenging terrain. Earlier I got the chance to ask Mark about the estate and his management practices.
So Mark, stalking in the Highlands is a challenging environment. From your point of view, taking clients out, how would you find that?
It is a bit of a challenge. I think it would probably be a lot easier if we were doing it ourselves. But no, there is a sort of satisfaction about taking someone out for, like their first stag or something like that. And obviously we're sort of always after a cull beast. So when you see the herd eventually getting better, it does, give you a lot of satisfaction.
Just by selective shooting, which is
Yeah.
different to in Germany, where they're looking for the big trophy heads. Highland stalking is not about trophy heads at all.
Yeah, exactly. Basically we're shooting cull stag, so i.e. an old stag or a stag with a poor head. Best example would probably be a farmer wouldn't sell his best top.
Telling a young stag from an old stag, for the guys that aren't that experienced, is not that easy.
No, it's definitely not easy. It's just sort of experience. Once you've sort of worked with stags for quite a while, the best thing is if you're feeding stags, it's very easy to sort of notice. You sort of keep track of stags that you recognise. They might have a droopy neck, sort of saggy belly.
Yeah.
You can usually tell a stag going back.
Individual traits.
Individual traits. Dry sort of wiry coat.
Yeah.
Quite often you'll get a big stag with a small body. Usually that's a sign of an old stag.
And by feeders, you mean in the winter time you feed the stags when the conditions are harsh, just to
Yeah.
keep them through the winter?
Yeah, and it just sort of keeps them on the ground as well, stops them wandering off. And as I say, it's good to see what deer you have on the ground.
And on this area, on this estate here, it's very, very challenging because
Yeah.
a lot of the hills are Munros. So.
Yeah, and it's a very hard existence from out there. There's not much shelter.
And not so easy for the stalker to get up there after them.
No, sort of 3,000 feet, 3,500 feet from sea level straight up before you can even start stalking.
And we start from sea level and we go up to...
Basically, yeah. The other day we were out, we were probably 40 foot above sea level and then straight up to the top of Ben Star of 3,500 feet.
The team stalked for almost a full day, climbing nearly the height of a Munro. Eventually Mark gets Nick into position on a suitable stag, but there is no time to spare. The beast is on its feet and about to drop out of sight. Just at the edge of camera shot, Nick's round finds its mark in the back of the neck. The beast is down. On reaching the carcass, Nick finds his pinpoint shooting rewarded by a fine 8-point stag.
Nick, great shot. Can you tell me about the stalk, spotting the animal and eventually getting down here? It's not exactly an easy place to get to.
Definitely not, Byron. No, we set off around 9:30 this morning, the bottom by the river, literally at sea level, and we set off climbing up Ben Starov, one of the highest peaks down Glen Etive, and we were sort of 3/4 of the way up the hill when Mark spotted a group of stags, and we were holding hinds, and there was somewhere down the valley, down the corrie below us, so we had to make a descent, which was, as you know, rather treacherous, a bit of slipping and sliding, but we managed to get onto one of the stags, a nice 8-pointer about 70-80 yards away. Mark gave him a whistle and he stood up, and I managed to shoot him at the back of the neck, so well chuffed with that one.
And now the drag out? Are you doing that by yourself?
Byron, I was nearly dead walking up a mountain goat. I'm not, but no, I won't be doing it. There's 4 of us, so I'm sure we can all take turns.
But you've stalked here before. What's special about today?
I've never been up this side. I've always been on the other side of the valley, and it's with these being the bigger peaks, and I've always wanted to come up this side and actually take the pony, get the garron to come and to bring the stag home. So I know the garron's on its way up now, so I'm looking forward to for the extraction instead of it being with an argo cat.
The way it used to be.
The way it used to be.
Nick is doing it the traditional way, taking his beast off the hill with the garron. After Nick helps Mark with the drag down to level ground, it's ready to be loaded once the pony arrives.
Yep. Okay. We can't really get an argo to many places, so there's a lot of dragging. You shoot the stag, drag it down to where you can get the argo. We also have the garron pony for out on our south side.
Yeah.
Because you just can't even get a machine anywhere near where you need to.
Yeah.
So it's quite handy, and it's very traditional. Something special about taking a stag off the hill with the pony.
Oh, absolutely.
I almost feel there's a bit of sort of sadness for the stag when you're dragging him down the hill, but then when you put him on the pony, it almost makes it better.
In a fitting tribute, the beast is taken off the hill in the same fashion as it has been done since Victorian times. It's back to the larder to weigh the stag and complete the dressing out process. With the deer left to hang, it's 2 successful stalks complete for the sporting rifle team. We'll certainly be back next year.
This is the Shooting Show News. Shooters are outraged by reports that WH Smith has, without warning, placed an age restriction on the buying of shooting magazines. Smith's, which was recently on the receiving end of a pressure campaign from animal rights activists, has not given any official word on the reports. If they are true, the shooting press and its distributors have agreed to be united in fighting robustly against the policy. BASC has also said they will oppose it. Voting has opened for Airgun Shooters Airgun of the Year awards. The annual poll will see airgunners voting on rifles in 10 categories, taking in springers, PCPs and pistols. The most prestigious accolade is the eponymous Airgun of the Year award, which last year was taken home by Daystate's Mark IV IS. The official voting form is available to complete at airgun.tv, or you can email your nominations to 2012awards@blazepublishing.co.uk. Polls close at midnight on the 12th of December. Italian gunmaker Meraki has announced the release of its new combination gun, the Fin 612. With its interchangeable barrel system, you could shoot it as a sporting over and under one day and a double rifle the next. Other features include a stronger top snap, one of the longest ejectors on the market, and optional 70 or 90mm choke tubes. The 612 is expected to retail at around £600, and it will arrive in the UK in February through importer Daystate and distributor Idleback. The ISSF has announced new rules for its competitions to come into force from 2013. As well as some changes to the way each event is run, there will be a general overhaul to the format of finals, aimed at making them more exciting and media-friendly. Significant changes have been made to the double trap discipline, in which Britain won Olympic gold this year. The course of fire will now use random schemes rather than the current fixed scheme format. For more information on the new rules, visit the ISSF website. The Scottish Gamekeepers Association has urged the John Muir Trust to think again about its cull numbers on Trust land in Sutherland. The Quinag estate currently culls around 45 stags a year to help woodland regeneration, but the Trust recommended increasing the cull number to 100. The SGA said this could affect deer stalking opportunities on neighbouring land, which are a significant contributor to the local economy. Chairman Alex Hogg called for deer fencing to be considered as an option. Full story in the next issue of Modern Gamekeeping. That was the Shooting Show News.
Well, that's it for this week. The Sporting Rifle team keeping the Highland tradition alive. We're out every Monday, 7:30 p.m. UK time. This is The Shooting Show.